Joining us now on the kickback is Spurs forward Beth England after she recently broke the record for the first player to net 50 home goals in the Women's Super League. What a legend. We're in royalty company right now. Hi, Beth England.
Hi, are you okay?
Good. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. I'm very good, thank you.
Good day to have you. I mean, getting a point in a derby against Arsenal must be good feelings this morning, or is it almost you wish you'd won it? What's the view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously London derby, you want to have the bragging rights, you want to be the team winning the game. But I think coming off the back of our performance the week before, I think it's something that we can hold our heads high, and it's a big point to take from the European champions. So as a whole, yeah, we were happy with the point, but we wish we could have done more and tested the keeper more and yeah, given ourselves a bit more of a chance at getting all 3 points. But 1 point's better than 3 points lost.
Yeah.
What's the ambition for you personally, Beth? I think obviously your goal scoring record speaks for itself. But as a player, how hungry are you? Have you got a target on goals you would like to get for the season, or have you got like a big number in the back of your head going, right, I want to continue and get X amount of goals?
I think as a forward, you've always got goals and targets that you want to hit. And for me, I'm still very much chasing Miedemar in her goals. Obviously, she's the current league top goal scorer. I've been chasing her for a while. She's had a few injuries, and then she comes back and scores probably a hat-trick in a game and then just puts me another step back. So I'm forever chasing her. But yeah, I think naturally I want to score as many goals as possible. Ideally, you always want to be hitting double figures. I think sometimes your goals can change depending on the league. We know every week every year the league's getting stronger, so opponents are much more difficult to score against now than what they probably were. But yeah, I'm still hungry as ever, still wanting to score more goals and continue making history.
Brilliant. And in terms of Spurs, I mean, we're seeing them flirting around with those Champions League places. Your manager, Martin Ho, had told our Leanne Sanderson not too long ago that Champions League football is that 5-year plan. What's the discussions in the dressing room with that target?
Yeah, I think we're obviously being very realistic on where we're at right now. We're definitely in the right direction. Whether or not Champions League conversations are in the next year, I think is something that we can't control. I think we are being very realistic on where we are. We have still dropped points against top 4 teams, and that's where we want to show we are competing more. Obviously, yesterday we did a great job in securing a point against Arsenal, but I look back at the likes of the Man City game or the Chelsea game where we really probably should have done better in terms of keeping the goals out. And even the London City game, that's not a game that we would have not necessarily been expected to win, but definitely not concede that many goals. So I think it's definitely a journey. We're building something. And I know every year players can talk about building as a team, but I think we have had a real big structural change from above. We've not made many changes in terms of personnel in players, but obviously Martin coming in has made a huge impact for us. There's been a huge shift in the way in which we play, our style of play, our mentality going into games. And I think fans are definitely seeing that on the pitch. So for us, it's about just taking every week as it is, making sure we keep racking up those points. I think we're nearly on the same amount of points already as what we did from the entirety of last year.
Brilliant.
We've already kept 4 clean sheets, and this is still early on in the season. We've still got a whole half of the season and some to go. So I definitely think we're starting to show a lot more personality and grit in our performances.
What is it that Martin's brought to Spurs that maybe you didn't have last year, or is it just how you are playing and what he expects from you?
I'd say the biggest thing for me is intensity. I remember when he first came in through pre-season, everything was so intense straight away. No matter if it was a simple passing drill, you were running, you were sprinting to every cone. And he's very much wanting to be very an aggressive team, like try and press and run as much as possible. Even if you can only run around for a maximum of 45 and your legs are blown, he'll rather take 45 out of you than coasting through 90. So I think it's making sure that you are pushing yourselves every day and trying to get around that pitch to make it harder for teams to be able to play the style of play they want to do. And yeah, just show teams that we're not scared of them anymore. I think last year we played with a lot of fear because we weren't sure if those points were going to come, if we were going to stay afloat at times. Whereas this season, I think we're definitely going into teams with our shoulders up, our chest back a little bit, and really putting a fight in towards other teams.
Do you know what, Beth? You mentioned that word there, like intense and not being scared of teams. Last weekend, when you saw him kind of going at it with the London City manager, I like to see that as well. I think that shows that you care so much and you're really passionate about it. I think seeing your manager do that shows that the players can do that as well. And we need that in football, don't we? We need that edge, that aggression sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. I think, look, in women's football, I think it's starting to get more like it was in the men's game, where you are seeing the more tactical fullness and where people are wanting to be a bit more aggressive and try and play a bit more dirty. But for me, I think it's, as you said, the passion, you want to see that. But I think it can be, with aggression, it can be controlled. I think you want to show that you care and do it, but not do it at a detriment to your team. You don't want your players being distracted on a pitch if you know your managers are having a bit of a kick-off on the sidelines, which I'm not saying that is what happened. Obviously, Martin controlled his emotions, rightly so, but I think you have to have that in football. You have to show a bit of something, and even getting into their manager's head, that can maybe affect then how he speaks to his players. And these things can make a big difference, especially when you're fighting for points to climb up the table.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously that was a disappointing result for you. I think for London City to score 4 goals, but then to bounce back the following week. And look, Arsenal are obviously still a great team. They might be going through a few changes themselves, but to take a point, like you said, off European champions is massive. Where do you see Spurs? What is the target within the dressing room to finish in the league table this season?
I mean, for me, I think there's no reason why we can't be reaching for top 4 this year. I think we're priding ourselves in more of a defensive display. Obviously, I know the result last week didn't really reflect how we're trying, but again, you look at the teams that we've played and we are still conceding some goals that we're not really happy with. So I think we're realistic in the fact that we're not going to be winning the league this year. But we know that we can compete against some of the best. And I think for Arsenal yesterday, it was a tough game for them coming off the back of the Champions League week. I would say I think a few of their players looked tired. But again, that's the situation you're in when you're in multiple competitions. And there's no reasons why we can't show that we are fit in those moments and really push the game against them. And for me, I think top 4 is realistic. Obviously, we know Man United had a good start and they have dropped a couple of points themselves. Maybe their focus is on the Champions League, but we're right in and amongst the top. And it's not that we've just been there for a week or so and we've dropped down to the bottom. We've been able to sustain that for now. And hopefully going on the back end of Christmas, we'll start to kick on again and really show teams what we're about.
Fair. And in terms of the game at the weekend, the derby was originally meant to be played at the Spurs Stadium. I know this is a conversation that's been going around. Obviously, then that was moved because of the fight on Saturday. Does this bother the team, Beth? Do you think this is a standard we should be setting and stick to, or are you guys just focused on the football?
Do you know what? For me, I actually love the fact that the game was at Brisbane Road yesterday, because we obviously had our biggest attendance crowd there, and it felt more like a home game because of the noise there and that we were able to create the atmosphere. I love playing at the Spurs Stadium. I think it's one of the best stadiums I've ever played at. But sometimes knowing that we don't always generate the crowd that we want can make it not have the atmosphere that we'd want to be able to help push the team on. And yesterday, I must say, like, the Spurs fans were sublime in the noise they were creating for us, helping push us on. Obviously, the Arsenal fans were giving all their chants and stuff, as you would expect. But I felt like our fans thoroughly matched that. And I would say they were a really big part in helping us get the result that we did yesterday, because when you're playing big teams, you want to, especially at home, you want to be able to feel like you are the team on top. And I feel like playing at Brisbane Road and having that many fans there for us definitely helped us do that.
I'm glad you've said that, Beth, honestly. I mean, I would have absolutely taken it if you said, no, we should prioritise, playing at the Spurs Stadium. But I was at that fixture, I want to say 3 years ago, at Brisbane Road. And you look at now how the fan bases is growing, and then, just seeing and hearing more of an atmosphere as well, pushing you guys over the line, and that that the big games as well will continue to still happen at Spurs, but these things will move time and time again. I mean, Boreham Wood, I think, is Arsenal's next Champions League game, that sometimes this will move and it'll have to happen, but we're on the right trajectory, Beth, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, look, it's it's amazing for women's sport that we are able to play in these big stadiums, and we want to be able to fill those out just the same as our male counterparts. But we are very realistic on where we're at, and not every team like Arsenal can fill out an Emirates every week. But it's something that we're still pushing for.
Yeah.
The background staff are really pushing to make sure we get all the fans in as possible. And ultimately, if we don't play the football the right way, the fans aren't going to come in. So we have to do the job on the pitch first in order to be able to grow and market off the pitch. So for me, being at Brisbane Road yesterday and seeing that many fans there supporting us was amazing. And long may it continue, and hopefully in the future we are in a position where we can fill out those bigger stadiums.
Well played. Beth England, what a treat. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, and all the best.
Take care of yourself, Beth
luck with the
England.
season, Beth. Thank you.
Yeah, Spurs and England striker as well. She's a player, by the way. I know you meant to say that.
Obviously she's been about the league for a long time, and obviously she was tearing up at Chelsea that year, which I actually felt sorry for her because she had a great season. I think Player of the Year, smashed the goal scoring record, and then I think Emma Hayes was just bringing in other players, but that's football, isn't it?
Yeah.
But again, she's proven herself. She works her backside off for Spurs, and what an athlete, by the way. What an athlete. Yeah.
We've got similar
No, you don't.
muscles.
I've actually never said this to her there, but I remember once playing her, this was years ago, and she lifted her top to wipe her forehead, and shredded. I thought to myself,
Up your six pack.
Really? I was like, I better get myself at the gym. I've still not, mind you, but here we are.
Instead, you had 6 bottles of wine.
I had a 6 roll instead.
Excellent.